Yo, be careful what you have on your phone when you're traveling. I just got back to the U.S., right, because the boat returned to the U.S. And upon coming, I was randomly searched. And these dudes, they asked me a bunch of questions. I'm thinking everything's cool, right? And then right at the end, they're like, okay, we got one more step for you. This is an electronic search. So what that mean? They bring me to a back room. They make me take everything off, anything I got on me. They told me I need to give up the phone. And for me, at first I'm like, whoa, give up the phone? There's no way you're going through my phone. And they giving me the little pamphlet. They're like, basically, we ain't no regular cops. Like, you coming back into the United States, this is customs and border. Anything you bring in, we could search it. And yeah, I had to give up my phone. Had to let them search through that whole thing. I be trying to know my rights, right? But it's like, this ain't no police. It's the Customs and Border Protection. Like, it's federal. So yeah, basically, I had no rights in that situation. I had to give up everything. They searched through everything they wanted. And yeah, be careful. Even if you're coming on a cruise or whatever you're doing, if you're traveling, when you come back to the U.S., you could randomly get searched like me. So you got something on your phone for me. Don't be dumb. They gonna look through the whole shit, and there's nothing you could do about it.
Have you guys heard about this guy? He was literally peeing in his coworkers' water bottles to give them STDs. His name is Lucio Diaz, and he worked as a janitor in a medical office in Houston, Texas. So in 2022, all of the staff members at this medical office were filling up their water bottles with this communal water dispenser. But little did they know that 53-year-old Lucio was peeing in that communal water dispenser. That is, until one of the staff members was like, oh, this water kind of tastes sour. It tastes really bad, and she didn't want to drink it. So then she started bringing multiple water bottles to work. Her own personal water bottles, so she wouldn't have to run out and go use the communal dispenser. And at the beginning of the day, these water bottles would taste just fine, normal, but by the end of the day, or when she would come back to go drink water, she would notice that her own water also smelled funny and tasted sour. This went on for 3 weeks, and then another coworker offered to make her coffee, to which she said to not use the water from the dispenser. She even showed her own water bottle to the other coworker, and that person was like, well, why is it yellow? She said that she had no idea, and the coworker smelled it and was like, oh, this kind of smells like pee. So they went to a doctor, and they were like, hey, can you test this for urine? And the doctor tested it, and sure enough, it was positive. This sparked confusion and disgust, but she couldn't really tell where it was coming from. How could she? So she got a little camera, kind of a motion-centered camera, put it next to her water bottle at work secretly so no one else could see it. And when she went home, she got an alert that the camera detected motion. And when she looked, she saw the janitor, who she knew as Lucio, opening her water bottle.
A campground has been ordered to pay $750,000 for racial discrimination against a black camper. The incident happened in June 2020 when two friends, Amanda Mills and Angela Smith, planned a camping trip together. Angela brought her husband Damien, who is black, and their 8-year-old son. They were supposed to join the other family at the Lazy Cove campground. But the campground's owner called one of the women and said she didn't realize her friend's husband was black. The owner even added she wouldn't have rented to them had she known earlier. Allegedly, the campground owner decided not to evict the families right away as she didn't want to get in legal trouble. When the families took the case to court, accusing the owner of racial discrimination, the jury ruled in their favor. The families were awarded $100,000 each and received $550,000 in extra damages. However, the owner still denies doing anything wrong and says her late husband refused to rent to black people in the past. But the campground now welcomes all kinds of people.
See why Trump about to let out the truth now, cause he not trying to get the karma that they done stirred up. Welcome to the cookout. So we already know and have all the proof that when they arrived in these lands, they saw our people, right? But this gets deep, ladies and gentlemen. Stay with me. We know our people built these, right? This is our culture, Cahokia Mounds, right? Stay with me. Come on. We about to cook. Hold on. Welcome to the cookout. We about to get to cooking. So we know that means the Americans have more pyramids than the rest of the world and we built them. We get that, right? We're starting to learn of our prominence in these lands. But ladies and gentlemen, I'm about to get to the main course. So while doing my reading, I came upon this. Ancient Monuments of the Mississippi Valley, 1848, Squire and Davis. One earthwork structure in particularly in particular caught our eye. It has been referred to as the Hebrew earthworks of Milford, Ohio. This giant earthwork was shaped into what looks like an old Hebrew lamp, along with other recognizable Hebrew symbols. Hebrew symbols, you say? So knowing that we are the indigenous Americans, and now knowing that we are also the Hebrews, this makes it rather interesting, because if you read your holy scripts, God is described as avenging Israel.
20-year-old Sudiksha Kanaki's parents have requested that authorities declare her legally deceased. They believe that their daughter drowned in the Dominican Republic while she was on her spring break trip. There have been no indicators of foul play, and 22-year-old Joshua Reeve, who was the person of interest in this case, the last person to see her alive, is now free to return back home to the United States. A habeas corpus hearing occurred today, and he has now gotten his passport back and is free to leave. Sudiksha's parents also believe that he had nothing to do with it and that their daughter was just a victim of a tragic accident, and would like for her to be declared legally deceased so that way they could begin the grieving process. Her body, though, has still not been found. Her father said that both sides of the authorities, the Dominican Republic authorities as well as the authorities in her hometown, showed him and his wife how high the waves were that night and how rough the surf truly was. All authorities also clarified to them that the person of interest was never a suspect to begin with. While Sudiksha's parents were in the Dominican Republic, her mother reportedly told Joshua, "Thank you for saving my daughter the first time." 12 days have now passed, 50 people were interviewed. Both families have acknowledged that a lot has been done to help in trying to find Sudiksha, but it's time to start to grieve over what most likely happened to Sudiksha.
A mother is calling for justice after she says her son was beaten to death and left to die inside of his own home.
His mom says he recently started a new chapter, moving in with his girlfriend. That chapter quickly ended when police found him unresponsive in his home at 1639 Fulton Avenue on November 16th.
My son was killed. He was murdered.
Surveillance video captured two men walk into Michael Woody's apartment and catches them leaving 45 minutes later. Investigators released this wanted flyer. Miss Woody identifies the woman as Michael's girlfriend, the man in the middle as her father, while the man in the baseball cap is unknown.
I want all three of them to go to jail for this. No plea deal, no none of that.
A neighbor tells us they witnessed Woody's girlfriend leave the apartment and keep the door open. This photo shows the man in the baseball cap holding some sort of metal object in his hand. Miss Woody believes Michael was beaten to death.
We're just so willing to just take his life from him.
This passenger is about to leave a small carry-on bag behind as he boards his flight in New Orleans. You can see it right there on the counter. Keon Brooks called Spirit Airlines as soon as he landed in Los Angeles.
I put in a public information request, and I was very detailed down to the time that I arrived, the clothes that I had on.
Were you surprised that they released the videotape to you?
I was surprised.
In the video, you can see another passenger pointing out the bag. A gate agent starts going through it. And look, passengers are still boarding. Wouldn't the agents figure it was someone who had just boarded? Instead of trying to find the passenger, an agent takes the bag to another gate. Then she starts rifling through it. She walks to the trash can and starts dramatically tossing in the contents. She appears to read a medication bottle. Then you see her pouring the pills out. Another gate agent starts recording her and seems to be having such a good time, she doubles over in laughter. The rest of the bag is dumped. The agent appears to fish keys out of the trash, but then chucks them back in.
Look at the state of humanity. What are we doing to one another?
Brooks said Spirit Airlines told him they're investigating and that the gate agents have been suspended.